Hello, everyone. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes for people to receive the notification and to see who's going to be joining us today for the full moon live in Taurus. I am incredibly sick. I got a cold, so I do apologize if I sneeze or cough during the live stream. It cannot be helped. I'm not going to be spending too much time today. Hey, Jai. I'm not going to be spending too much time today during this live. I want to make it no longer than 30 minutes because I need to rest and get better. I really pushed myself in this period. Full moon cycles for me personally are very intense. Whenever the moon is growing from a new moon to a full moon, it's always like activity, 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 anxiety, all sorts of things that happen. And this time it affected my capacity to keep my body at ease. So I got a dis-ease. It's also because I began therapy and I had a breakthrough with my analyst. And whenever we're having mental breakthroughs, whenever we're noticing patterns, we tend to fall ill because the body needs to adapt to the mind's growing awareness. So when I got this disease, I was like, oh, okay, the body didn't catch up. The mind is there already, but the body is kind of lagging behind. The body is loading, it's buffering at the moment. So my body's buffering. And I'm very grateful, actually. I'm not at all upset. I'm just a bit bummed because I kept telling myself this week, this specific week with the full moon right in the middle of it, is going to be the busiest week that I had scheduled probably this year, minus May, because in May during Taurus season, I had the worst things happen one after the other. So yeah, I feel like it will be significant for you guys to tap into the energy of this full moon to see in which part of your birth chart it is falling into. And also, as you tap into the collective energies that are unleashed by this super moon, so it being a super moon, it means that it is closest to the earth than other moon cycles. So you get to even see the moon in the sky as being wider or bigger than other moons this year have been. And this means that lunar energy is upon us. It's very heavy. So we may feel moody. We may feel very sensitive and emotional, easily triggered. Yeah, it happened to me earlier with somebody that commented on Instagram and who said that, thank you, your work brings some color to my life. But it was in response to something that was a little bit sarcastic. I'm not going to dive into it because I don't like to insist on shadow aspects, but I kind of took it personally because I'm a little bit irritated lately with people thinking that what we do here in the spiritual community and tarot in general and astrology are just stupid pastimes. They are just clown things, and there is some truth and there is real healing that is happening here by using these tools. It's not just mumbo jumbo, make believe, They can be entertaining, they can be used as a tool for escapism. Obviously, I do not deny that. And if they are not done properly, if they are done with the sole intent of earning money or portraying yourself as, oh, I'm such a spiritual girly, then yeah, you reach that negative side where you are a hoax. You're not a real spiritual practitioner. But for those of us that are really putting in time, effort, a lot of soul, a lot of energy into what we're doing, it's like a slap in the face when people just treat you like you're a clown, when people constantly like take you down in videos online in order to amp up their own monetization and views, and they just kind of like pour gasoline over your work and light it on fire. Why is there the need for that? I don't understand. We can all coexist. There is space for everybody in this world, okay? And me doing my spiritual work does not mean that I don't know, you should feel threatened, or that you should treat it as if it's something shallow or stupid. So yeah, sorry, I had a bone to pick. I needed to get this off my chest. This full moon is taking place in my shadow zone in the 7th house, conjunct my Mars. So I guess now you understand what I felt the need to say these things and what I feel a little bit triggered. And as I'm doing at the moment, trying to be brutally honest with who I am, as I need to do this since I'm training to be an analyst. There will be more conversations like this on my channel. And speaking of monetization, I have some good news. Finally, after months of efforts and uploads that took me so long to edit, the Spiritual Cosmos is now part of the YouTube Partner Program. So this means I have 2 channels I can finally monetize. And I'm so happy because I have so much astrological content that I am really excited about creating. And now that it is monetizable, it can motivate me to do the work, to sit down and read the books and edit the videos and look up, because I have some topics in mind that deal a lot with more esoteric and occult aspects of astrology. I want to take you back to traditional astrology techniques. I want to talk to you about the occult masters. I have a video on Helena Blavatsky and Isis Unveiled that I'm thinking about creating. I want to look into the birth charts of a lot of esoteric practitioners and to show you what interesting things I found. But this requires research, this requires reading, checking my facts, making sure I get the right images, I get the right symbols. And this is work. This is a lot of work. And it sucks when you have to do a lot of work and you get nothing in return. You feel like a slave. And I've been feeling like a slave in the last 1.5 years. And I want this to end. Point blank and square. I want to be rewarded for the work that I do because I'm valuable and my presence here on YouTube is very valuable. And I'm waking up to more aspects of myself that I have been hiding or pummeling down due to shame or guilt or envy. And there will be more things related to, I will continue to do tarot readings. Don't get scared, guys, okay? I will continue to do them. But I noticed in the past that rose petal readings were doing really well. They became really popular. I earned a lot of subscribers here on the Spiritual Social with those rose petal readings. Romantic series were doing relatively well, but mostly videos in which I kind of give you some smutty love reading interpretation were the ones that got the most views. And I changed throughout time. It's natural, it's normal for a person to change. And I just don't feel like doing rose petals readings anymore. I just don't feel called for it. And it took me a while to become honest with myself about these things. Give me a second, guys. I need to, there's something my nose is doing and I need to stop it. Okay, so it took me a while to understand that it's okay for me to grow out of things. It's okay for me to just come at you guys and say, I'm bored. I don't like what I'm doing anymore. I don't like rose petals. I don't feel drawn to them. I don't feel inspired to do romantic series. I don't feel inspired to do smutty romantic readings because you guys may benefit from them, but my heart is no longer in them. And you could feel them. You could feel that I was bored. You could feel that I was tired. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I tried to create this illusion that I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing when I was really thinking about, oh my God, another sex reading, like I'm tired. This is exhausting. So I'm only going to be doing readings that I feel inspired to be doing. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say in a very convoluted way, as I'm feeling incredibly congested and feverish. But diseases bring you to a point in which you have to be honest, and I'm very grateful to this disease that I'm having at the moment because it's helping me slow down. It's helping me get back to the basics. It's helping me be more honest. And I love what I'm doing. I love tarot as a tool for healing. I'm taking it very seriously, in spite of the fact that I did not feel the drive to keep producing readings related to love when I was going through some very difficult things. I kind of gradually stopped believing in romantic love. I felt out of my eros energy. And I guess you guys could tell because you guys are not stupid. You're very beautiful, intelligent, wise people. And that's why you're part of my soul family. So I did do the best that I could to read the cards as I saw them. I didn't lie to you about the messages, but I was not there. You know, I was dissociating. I wasn't present, and you could tell. And that's why my views have been stagnating. And yeah, my abundance encountered a lot of limits and blocks. But now, because I'm slowly transitioning from what I'm doing here as a full-time occupation to my role as a Jungian analyst that I'm training to become, I have two pathways, and I'm no longer so tied into what I'm doing here for my income. And this frees me and this liberates me. And I'm able to come up and tell you these things during these lives, guys. So the next year will be a very powerful transitioning period. I am this kind of person that likes to be mentally stimulated by doing many different things. The worst thing that happened to me in the last years has been feeling lost about my purpose, not knowing what to do, being constantly overwhelmed by negative feelings to the point that I stopped reading and learning. And now that I gradually worked through a lot of these heavy feelings that I've been holding them and processing them, I'm opening myself up to learning again, and my curiosity has improved and my reading capacity has risen. And I had to process my father's death, of course, the tragedy of my family breaking apart, which is not at all easy. It has been a punch in the chest followed by a punch in the chest followed by another punch in the chest every moment when I woke up and I thought I'm getting better today, I'm getting better today, I can actually do it. Something happened and I was down in the pits of despair inside of myself. So I was trying to overcome these mountains emotionally, physically, in many different ways. But now I'm opening up to like a system of support, and I'm part of another group of wonderful people, the people that I'm training with, my colleagues, future Jungian analysts, all of us. And they're such wonderful people. Like I genuinely feel like they are also part of my soul family, you know, like I feel like after a periods of limits, restriction, and having to deal with everything on my own, I'm finally getting back up, you know. uh, God has read my email and it's sending help, you know. Um, it's emotional. I'm not gonna lie. I am feeling quite emotional because it has been so hard. And I can cry in front of camera because I'm sick and I have the sick prerogative, okay? It has been so hard, and only God is my witness how hard everything has been to work my ass off all my life to gather money to pay for a flat, out of which I had to become more or less like an evicted person because the building in which my flat was horrible. And I had to sell it, which was a really big shock to myself because that's what I've always wanted, to have my own place. And then I had to give that up, to losing my favorite parent. Yes, I'm going to say it brutally as it sounds. My dad was my favorite parent, and he's no longer with me. Neither is my grandma. And they were the two people I really felt closest to emotionally. So a lot of loss, a lot of change, but now at least there is this opening up, this portal of opportunity, possibilities. The future has started like, sorry, I need to organize my thoughts. The future seems like a lighthouse that is repaired and it's now beaming a light back into the unknown, you know? It doesn't feel like a broken lighthouse in the pit despair of darkness while I'm swimming in an ocean and there's no end in sight to my swimming, my desperate swimming. So I'm very grateful for Scorpio season, for helping me transform the darkness into this light, which is something that Scorpio season does for all of us. Fun fact, my supervising analyst is a Scorpio. She's a high vibrational Scorpio. And when I found out, I was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I was just so very happy because I have Jupiter transiting in Cancer through my 9th house at the moment. And when you have Jupiter transiting through the 9th house, you get lucky opportunities with study, with mentors, with foreigners, like people from other places. So I'm very grateful to Jupiter in Cancer, trining my Sun and my Mercury for giving me this wonderful gift that I have a supervisor therapist that is a Scorpio, has a lot of experience, and can help me through my mother and father wounds. And hopefully this will help me improve a lot of aspects in my life, you know. As you individuate, everything starts to blossom, not just one thing. So here I am today. I love my studies. I love you guys. I'm very grateful for this full moon in Taurus, even though it's packing a powerful punch. Even though I'm sick, I know why I'm sick, and I understand the mechanisms through which my body is trying to catch up with my increased awareness. I have 5 channels here on YouTube, and I didn't create them in a desperate attempt to become rich or whatever other people could project onto me. I just did them because I am this person. I am a person that can create readings both in English and in Romanian, and people have been asking me to create the separate channel with readings in Romanian because they enjoy listening to tarot in their mother tongue. The channel on Lexi Games I've created because I was desperately trying to do something fun that would make my inner child happy, something that could get me out of all of the darkness that I just described to you that I've been going through in the last 2 years and a half, as Saturn was breaking everything down in my life so it can build a better solid structure. And the Eden nearby, it's just a place to share with you some aspects of my life that are a bit more intimate and that I cannot actually upload them on the spiritual cosmos or on the spiritual social. And I'm very happy that I think it was one of you subscribers that suggested that I split my work from tarot, different from astrology. And it took me about 1.5 years to reach this place, to gather the small subscribers that I have there, the small fan base. And people were incredibly critical. I mean, creating the spiritual cosmos has been so hard because I didn't get the support, the validation, the warmth that I got when I created the spiritual social back in 2020. Well, when I started uploading it, because the channel was on since 2018. But in 2020, during the pandemic, I started uploading videos and you guys liked them so much. You also recommended that I start doing personal readings. So it was a work that we created, right? With the spiritual cosmos, I had a very different experience. Yeah. Back in 2020, I had Jupiter transiting through my 3rd house, and it was backed up by Saturn and Pluto and the North Node in Capricorn. So it was so much intense energy in the realm of communication, how I appeared in front of the public. And that stellium of planets in Capricorn is very good for me because I have a Saturn, I have my Sun is in Pisces, my Mercury is in Pisces, my Mars is in Taurus, and they were all lit up beautifully by all that Capricornian energy. Capricorn energy is so good for me. Like Capricorns in my life, oh my gosh, I love them. I know not many people love Capricorns. They can be very rough motherfuckers who focus on money and what they can get from you most of the times. But to me, I love them. Okay. They work wonders for me. I love Capricorn energy. I love Leo energy. I love Scorpio energy because they can bring me back up to life, you know, like these are energies that really sustain me. And I highly recommend that you go out into the world and you have many different experiences with people from various walks of life, and you ask each and every one of them what is their star sign. And that at the end of this experience gathering, backed up by your astrological knowledge as well, if you enjoy learning about astrology, then make your own conclusions as to what each sign represents to you and what energies work best for you. That's how you become a really valuable astrologer. You know, that's how you become, you get to the essence of what astrology really is, not by trying to copy other people. Yeah. Thank you, police alarm, for emphasizing this point. Okay, I'm finally looking at the chat. Sorry, I was in my mind. I was in my mind monologuing, but you guys are so amazing. I'm seeing so many hearts. Yes, I know that it has been intense for many of you. That's why I didn't give up on you. I couldn't. I was waking up each day and I was thinking, yeah, sure, you're suffering, but think about other people that are suffering and that may need your video. Maybe they're watching my video at work and they have to go through a really awful work program, you know, or maybe they need to fall asleep and they need to hear a love reading, you know. So I was constantly thinking, show up for your soul family, you know, even though I couldn't show up for myself most of the days, you know. But that's why I want to change things a little bit, and I'm implementing some positive changes. I'm going to start swimming because my body has been to the ground. Like, you know, most of us express feelings through our bodies. And when you're dealing with such heavy Saturnian emotions, like the ones that were unleashed in the collective by Saturn and Pisces, it was difficult to release them. I really felt blocked by Saturn from crying. I'm usually a very big crier, yeah, and I was proud of my capacity to just cry at most things that bothered me. If you guys remember, I was encouraging you to be the crybaby club at the beginning of my channel, because it's wonderful to be able to release the toxins and to release the feelings and to let them go. But I wasn't able to do so. So I'm going to try to push my body into releasing the feelings through the muscles. And much like I was describing earlier, that sometimes when we are reaching new levels of awareness, yeah, our body sometimes breaks down, maybe because it's not aligned with our mind and the leaps our mind is making. Similar to this, if you know about starting a workout regime, you usually get a lot of sore muscles and pains in your body when you begin working out. And that's because the muscles, like our muscles, start tearing apart. Yeah, there are micro fissures and micro wounds and scars that happen when you begin to work out your body. And that's why there's that really initial sickness that we have when we begin working out. And that's why it's so hard for many people to work out, because they cannot overcome that initial breaking down. So to begin something, to get into a new level of discipline and awareness, you begin by breaking down first. You begin by throwing up, having pains, having seizures, having all sorts of uncomfortable signals. It's like your body's telling you, what are you doing to me? I was in a specific habit. Why are you getting me out of this habit? But in the healing process, sometimes it's important to do that. And you have to kind of grind your teeth through it, you know? And once you pass that initial stage of, I'm in so much pain, I am continuously sore, you will gradually start to see results. And all of a sudden, your vitality increases, you're able to breathe better. The muscles are not breaking down as fast as they used to at the beginning of the process. And you're gradually going to notice certain small benefits, and they will add up and they add up and they add up. And all of a sudden, you're going to start to see like your hair is super voluminous, or your skin is glowing without you needing to put so many creams on it. Or all of a sudden, you know, you have less pimples, your hormones are a little bit more balanced, you know. And you're going to gradually notice the benefits, but you have to go through that initial breakdown. And it's the same with psychological processes. You know, sometimes things break down, our relationships break down, we feel the need to relocate, we are no longer satisfied with our living space as we are shifting our awareness. Follow that intuition, don't be afraid to follow it, you know, go for it. If you feel like you're sick and tired of where you live, move. If you feel like you're sick and tired of the relationships that, you know, have sustained you up until this point, stop engaging, you know. It sounds easier when I say it like this than it actually is in reality. But once you set your mind on something, it follows. Yeah. I'm struggling at the moment with remembering my dreams. Again, it's another byproduct of Saturn being in Pisces, blocking our capacity to cry, blocking our access to the unconscious world, laddening us collectively with such heavy feelings. And we, as a society, we don't have that many mentors or guides to teach us how to handle difficult negative feelings. We have more people that tell us, stop feeling bad, be happy. Yeah. We have more positivity mentors or gurus, right? Or people that are trying to get you to feel calm. But sometimes you can't just feel calm. Sometimes you have to have a rager. Sometimes you have to scream, you know? You have to unleash the anger that has been building up inside of you due to the fact that you were consistently disrespected or abused, or your boundaries were, you know, transformed into mush. And only after you release the negative feeling, or you manage to hold it in such a way that you suffered with it, and then it can transform. Yeah. There is this beautiful Vedic story about, oh my God, my mind went blank. My unconscious, you see, my unconscious is doing these tricks on me. It's like shoop, pulling up what I wanted to say. It's not the god Krishna. Why does the god Krishna keep appearing? Help me out, guys. Who is the blue colored god that is the god of gods? Shiva. Thank you. My conscious mind woke up. So there's this beautiful story of Shiva, who appears in Vedic mythology both as the creator and the destroyer. He has this magical cosmic dance through which he could bring things back up to life after he destroyed them. Yeah. Because Vedic mythology is very beautiful because it contains polarities, right? It's all about dualities. If you think about the goddess Parvati, right? And how she can sometimes take the form of Kalima when she has to be ruthless and protect her children, or there has been an injustice and she needs to drain the blood of her enemies, right, to gain power. And then she can become the mother, right? She can become the Devi. And the story tells of Shiva when he wanted to change the surrounding darkness around him. He basically swallowed it all up and held it in his throat. He didn't allow it to pass through his body until it was transformed into mana, into gold, into amber. Yeah. So he managed to transform something toxic and dark into something healing and nourishing, like almost like honey, like divine honey, like nectar. Yeah? And that's the same with us. Like we only can work hard at releasing these difficult feelings or hold them until we can transform them into something lighter and better. But most people don't have the spiritual awareness, or, to be honest, the spiritual mindset or the time, or they don't have the proclivities towards this kind of wisdom. So they just go through life and they project envy and anger onto other people. Yeah. And that's why we have the messes that we have in society at the moment, and this very bizarre gender war between men and women, and like a lot of cruelty against animals. It's because people are projecting this hatred that they have inside of themselves for themselves onto another person, onto somebody that is seen as weaker or inferior. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Illusion says we always have a choice. I'm so happy. Illusion says, yes, I remember you made me feel seen and safe when it came to my emotions. Yeah. Yes, Nemosin me. I was like, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm kind of overwhelmed with feelings myself at the moment. I'm really happy that you felt in this way, Illusion. Nice to hear some Cap love. Yeah, guys, yeah. And I'm able to love Capricorns because I'm able to work with my own Saturnian energies. inside of myself, and understand them. My life's work has been understanding my emotions and feeling a variety of different things, some of which have been very painful. We always have a choice. Nemosine Muses wanted to say, Lexi, is that somatic? Yes, exactly. So we feel our feelings through our body, and that's why we feel so much pain in the body. Pain that cannot be explained. Like if somebody punches you, of course you're going to feel pain, right? If you break a leg, of course you're going to feel pain. But when you wake up in the morning and you have a pain in the neck that travels to the heart, that travels to the hips, that goes down your foot, that's a feeling that you need to somehow dig up from your muscles and your cells and release. That's definitely somatic. That's definitely unprocessed emotion. Okay. And some of us carry these for years. There are some people whose bodies break down in front of us because they didn't want to engage. They didn't want to pay attention. Some of us are even born with disabilities because of a whole lifeline of ancestors that rejected the body completely. Yeah. And there is a branch of psychosomatic healing that deals with this kind of ancestral healing, like releasing all sorts of pains in the body and helping you treat your disability by looking at the sins of the fathers and the mothers down your bloodline. What you inherited from grandmothers, grandparents. But I am just at the beginning of noticing this branch, so I can't say too much about it. I'm not an expert at all. I'm just a fan. Alexia Carrasco saying, "Oh my God, Saturn in Pisces ate me alive." Yeah. The good news, guys, is that we are very close to the finishing line. There will be this massive new era beginning next year, and I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying this, but Saturn in Aries is going to be about the rebuild. I don't know how many times I need to say this, but I will say it until I get tired and exhausted. Saturn in Aries is going to be our new identity after the crash, after the mess, after the social destruction, after the collective delusions, as we noticed with rapture talk, for example, right? There are so many weird things happening on TikTok at the moment that YouTubers are picking up and describing in their YouTube analysis. And a lot of the things that I'm noticing that are popular or trendy or hot topics of debate on TikTok are just aspects of our collective shadows, like, for example, thirsty women being into motorcyclists on TikTok, motorcyclists that confuse SA with love, or what happened with the collective religious delusion that people gave up their children and their worldly possessions because they believe that God is going to come and warp them into heaven. Yeah. If only it would be that easy, if only we wouldn't be confined by gravity to Earth and having to live up to our physical karma, right? Because we are incarnated and we get to suffer and feel pain because the soul has some things to work through. Okay, the soul has something to learn about what it means to be human in a variety of different setups and stages. Okay. And I think I'm going to stop steamrolling this discussion over you guys, and let's see. Illusion is saying, Illusion is so nostalgic. You're such a sweetheart. You're reminiscing right now. When I first saw your channel, I was in a place where I couldn't express my emotions, moon and cap. But after you, I started to be proud of feeling and expressing them in a healthy way. So thank you. You're so sweet. This means so much to me that you're saying this. You have no idea. Thank you. Funny enough, my father was a moon in Capricorn. He was a sun Libra, moon in Capricorn, ascendant in Leo. Yeah. And he had the same issue. He was so blocked by childhood trauma, and he went through a lot as a child. But he just couldn't. I tried talking to him about his past, his feelings, his relationship to his own father, who sadly passed away very young. And he was just so sarcastic. He would change the conversation. He would pretend that he didn't hear me, like all sorts of these defensive strategies. So the fact that I wasn't able to connect with my father emotionally, but I am helping other moon conjunct Saturn or moon in Capricorn individuals feel like they're seen and that they can express their feelings. It's kind of like a subtle way of passing on, you know. Sometimes what you can't do for your family, for yourself, you can do for other people, you know. Like I noticed in romantic connections, I have a big problem feeling pleasure, and I'm not ashamed to say it. It's something that is quite big, but I'm quite good at giving it, you know. And it's just something that you have to kind of how should I say, um you get that pleasure that you're not getting indirectly from the pleasure you can give to other people. I hope that makes sense. Like in therapy, sometimes, you know, I just finished reading a book about the role of power in the therapy relationship. And a really wonderful thread from that book was that in order to be able to heal other people, you have to not be arrogant and consider that you are done with healing and you are above your clients. A good therapist is aware that they are a constant work in progress. And a good therapist is sometimes like Chiron, the centaur from mythology, the wounded healer. So, as a therapist, I am as human as you. I am not above you. I am also fucked up and working on my fucked upness. It's just that a therapist has more experience because they are able to hold more people at the same time. You know, that's the only difference. But a true therapist allows the client to change him or her, just as the client is healing and changing themselves, you know? So that's very beautiful. I have a whole video on Chiron, and Chiron has been such a source of calm and beauty and wisdom in my life ever since I discovered the story of the centaur. So check your Chiron placements in the chart, guys. We are all collectively still at the mercy of Chiron in Aries, and this transit has been very difficult because it has robbed us of our confidence. It has brought up to the surface so many wounds that men have, especially. And men are usually associated with society, with social norms and regulations. They are associated with the structures that we all rely upon because of the fact that mostly them have been creating them in the last thousands of years. And although the structures are changing at the moment and these wounds are coming up to the surface, there is this big conflict, you know. It's like wounded masculinity is exposed, and nobody likes to feel vulnerable. And what does a person do when they feel vulnerable but they feel like others are making fun of them or there is no safe space to be held? They attack. So that's why we're seeing so many wars. That's why we're seeing men trying to dominate women and control them instead of understanding them. It's like a wounded animal that lashes out, that knows that it has no safe space. So imagine, how would you feel in that situation? You would also fight for survival, right? So Chiron and Aries bringing up these wounds to the surface. Saturn and Pisces blocking our capacity to feel, empathize, and release our feelings. So we've been like walking kegs of emotional chaos, all of us, each in our own ways in these last 2 years. But now this pain and suffering is slowly coming to an end because once Saturn enters Aries, it will hold finally that wounded masculinity that it's so hard to put into words. It will finally hold the crumbling structures of the patriarchy. So the patriarchy has been gradually been destroyed, dismantled, attacking itself, trying to build up, trying to gain power and domination. But from next year, we are finally going to feel there is another structure that is possible. There can be coexistence. finally Saturn is going to come in and hold everything, and we'll say, okay, let's clean up this mess. It's enough. It's like a warm grandfather that comes into the room, and children have been at it, and fighting and attacking each other and going like, this is my place. No, this is my place. That's my doll. No, that's my doll. Ah! And they had no structure and they had nothing. They just were like raging at each other. And then suddenly grandpa opens the door and says, okay, kids, it's time for dinner. Everybody at the table, everybody has a seat in the house. Let's process what has happened, And that's why we're going to need a lot of therapists. And that's why I'm very happy to become one of them and serve the collective in any way I can, because I have a Jupiter in Aries. And I think my lifelong goal has been to understand my father, to understand masculinity, to understand why do we feel so separate when I felt very masculine inside of myself ever since I was small, but I was constantly blocked and pushed into being feminine, and red sparkly shoes and pigtails and short skirts and be docile and be obedient and don't play with kids and don't run around and don't graze your knees and don't be loud and don't be bossy. And who do you think you are to be so confident and to go and tell a person exactly what you want from them? This part of myself is healing and coming up to the surface. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope that this has been in some way inspiring. I can only tell you about life from my own viewpoint. I cannot tell you from the viewpoint of another person, and I cannot tell you about yourself. I cannot do that for you. You have to figure things out on your own. What I can do is to live my life in a way that is honest and as open as I feel like it should be. And then maybe you find some inspiration in what I do. And maybe you feel optimistic about things that were weighing you down. Or maybe you suddenly feel inspired. Hey, look, she's doing this. How about if I do it? Try it out. But basically, I am a projector screen of all the energies in my natal chart. And some people are going to hate my energies. They're going to be very emotionally triggered. They're going to spew negativity at me. And other people are going to resonate because my astrological energy is going to match with theirs, Somebody with the Jupiter in Pisces will like me instantly because I'm a sun in Pisces, yeah? Somebody with a Saturn in Pisces, not so much, or maybe drawn towards me in this kind of like fearful way to try to learn from me, but will still be a little bit circumspect, yeah? So keep this in mind when you are relating to other people, especially if you enjoy astrology, right? Keep this in mind. Use astrology in your everyday interactions. It's really helpful. And understand that it's just sometimes, you don't click with people because you can't force things between energies that are not there, And sometimes you really click with people and you're like, oh my God, because Venus, Mars touch upon each other, or this person's Jupiter touches upon your moon, I am very blessed to be in the company of a person that has a Jupiter in Sagittarius, for example, because temporarily they release me from the stronghold that Saturn conjunct my moon has placed upon the entirety of my destiny, right? And I vibe really well with them, they just they remind me of how optimistic things can be and how easy you can attract everything and how abundant life is, So don't be shy about asking people about their star sign, their astrological chart. That was one of the things I was really surprised to see how my own analyst asked me at the end of our first session, what is my star sign? I was like, hey, I normally ask people this. This is so cool. Finally, somebody's asking me, Yeah, and I'm going to be doing, as part of my training, I'm going to be doing I'm learning new techniques like free association. We're going to play with Rorschach. We're going to do Myers-Briggs. And I hope that whatever inspiration I get from my training, I will be able to kind of manifest it here in interesting readings. But what I wanted to say from the beginning of this reading is that this full moon in Taurus is helping me understand that I need to let go of certain things that I was doing on this channel, such as doing readings that I did not want to do, okay? On themes I did not agree with. A lot of you are very sweet, and I know that a lot of you want to be married and want to have children. And I'm not in any way criticizing you or condemning you. In certain cases, in this traditional world, marriage and having children is your only way of becoming independent, is your only way of having a home, is your only way of feeling like you are a person in society that matters, right? In certain societies, not in all of them. But this is the reality for some people in the world, and I have to acknowledge that. And I respect that. But for me personally, I don't believe in marriage anymore. I never have. I was happy when I was married. I tried it. I was very much in love with my ex-husband. I still care for him and I don't want him to suffer. But when I give you advice, I don't feel like it's important for somebody to have legal power over you in order for you to feel safe in the world. You know? I can tell you that it cost me more to get divorced than it cost me to get married. So you have to keep that in mind. Marriage is expensive. Marriage can sometimes be a limit to your freedom. It's not necessarily all roses and peaches and cream and safety and, oh my God, I belong to this person. Finally, they are all mine. Marriage can bring out a very nasty side of your personality that you may not have been aware of. I can tell you from experience, I became incredibly possessive after I got married. You feel like you own that person, and that is not at all healthy. So keep these things in mind when you're thinking about, your happy ever after. Not to put a damper on your beautiful wedding parade, but a marriage is not only about, we get married, we move into our own home, we have children. I look good in wedding photos, And what is marriage nowadays as all these rules and regulations are changing, What is marriage to Gen Zs, for example, or Gen Alphas, when you see that you can barely afford to live, the idea of having, a lavish wedding and a house with 2 kids, and it's increasingly not realistic for a lot of people. So I'm not going to be doing these perfect spouses readings. I have a couple of them on my channel. I did them in a period in which I believed in them and it felt good to do them. Please go back to those, okay? I have so many resources, okay? I've been very productive, thank God, that I got up and I worked each day. So refer to them. That is Lexi from the past. Lexi from the present is a very different one, and I will continue to change. I have to tell you that I have been increasingly drawn towards darker energies because I want to get to know my shadow. And I have substituted goddess Venus Aphrodite for goddess Hecate during this very difficult Saturn in Pisces. And Hecate has brought me in touch with certain very beautiful experiences, but she has also gotten me in touch with the darkness inside of myself and certain experiences that have been quite scary. And I'm going to be focused more on this darker aspect of the feminine, also because I'm aware of the fact that Pluto in Aquarius will reach a point when it will be perfectly conjunct not only my Venus, but also my Juno. And Juno, as you guys know, is the asteroid that shows the wife, the perfect spouse that a person can be. But when Pluto transits over Juno, it's almost as if it's transforming your understanding of what a wife represents, of what a good spouse is. Because Pluto is all about, I'm going to x-ray you and show you exactly where the issue is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any way. So keeping in mind these transits, keeping in mind that my energy has been changing and Saturn has been bringing up a lot of things to the surface that I thought were already accomplished, or I thought they don't belong to me, but apparently they do. I'm going to integrate this into my new personality. And there will be more readings focused on you, not so much on the partner. Because a lot of people come to tarot readings and they want to hear about the other person, right? But since I'm training to be an analyst and it's all about knowing about myself and helping people get to know who they are, because that is the only way that they will change their lives in the way in which they wanted to, I'm going to be creating more readings about personality, okay? So things that pertain to you, your flaws, your qualities, the way you show up in personal connections, the things you think about other people, your relation to your environment, because I generally feel that this is what's going to help you, okay? I may occasionally talk about the other person because this helps. It helps to keep the first house of the zodiac in connection to the seventh house of the zodiac, yourself and other people. But I'm not going to make it exclusively love readings and exclusively about your partner. And I'm not going to be dishing out ideal spouses readings anymore. And I don't feel inspired to work with flowers. I may begin to work with other objects. I feel very drawn to bones recently, and other objects that potentially will be inspired to me by the deities I'm going to be working. And what I wanted to say to you guys with this full moon energy is that this is a really beautiful moment to understand during Scorpio season, especially that you can work with very like darker powers. Yeah. So when I say darker, I don't mean demonic. You have to keep that in mind. I'm not talking about the demonic evil, my soul is sold to the devil, I'm signing it off. No, no, no. I'm not talking about archetypal evil. I'm talking about goddesses and gods that can sometimes, show you the nastier side of life, the darker aspects of life, because I generally feel like we have to learn as a collective how to deal with heavy feelings without killing each other. Yeah. So issues such as jealousy, anger, possessiveness, abuse, trying to dominate another person, trying to interfere with another person's free will, they are very much sprinkled in the Greco-Roman mythology through the shapes of various gods and goddesses. And by coming in contact with them, by summoning them, by creating rituals to them, you can access that energy. You can call upon God Hades to get you in touch with the souls of the dead because he's the container. He rules over the underworld where most of the souls are assumed to go after people depart. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they just stay there. The soul can travel, and through prayer and dedication, you can help move the souls of your ancestors from one realm to another. That's why, for example, in Dante's idea of the Inferno, there were several levels, yeah, and each level had a specific theme, a specific monster, a specific sin that they were dealing with. It was the same in Nordic mythology. The tree of life, Yggdrasil, has many different layers, and there are different gods for each of these layers. Yeah? So we have here from this beautiful Mythos tarot. I have fallen in love with this tarot, and I just, it's like, I just love it so much. And the reason why I love it so much is that it has very unique interpretations of the cards. Like it really blew my mind in certain parts. I would have never considered that, um, well, Hecate can be associated with the magician, but I think it has something like Demeter is the wheel of fortune and Apollo is the chariot. It's not the sun. And oh yeah, we have Hades as the devil and Persephone as the high priestess, for example. Yeah. So we can work at the moment during this full moon in Taurus and its shadow area, the sun in Scorpio season. We can work with darker deities. And the first one being the dark moon goddess Hecate, who appears in literature in two guises. So she is seen as the dark lunar goddess in this shape as Hecate, only when she is in the underworld helping the souls of the dead travel to the kingdom of Hades. Yeah? So she is the one that guides the soul after the soul has crossed the river Styx and has been taken on by the boatman Charon, after it has passed the gates of Cerberus. Hecate is the one that comes in through pitch darkness to light the path and carry you to the specific level in the underworld that you belong to. Yeah. And she has another form. She is also seen as the goddess Artemis, Artemis Diana, who I'm currently very much under the energy of. The goddess that is considered to be the virgin goddess. She swore herself that she would never yield to any man because she wanted to contain her energies, her lunar energies above the ground to help the fields, the crops, the animals. She's sometimes associated with the hunt, but she represents the wilderness. So goddess Diana Artemis is the lunar goddess above ground associated with wild, untamed, free energy. And that's why she couldn't be connected to any spouse, because she was seen as the symbol of freedom as the ancients understood freedom. Because in our modern society, we have a different understanding of freedom. And you can achieve more by becoming a partner to somebody, by working as part of a team. Yeah. Interdependence is true freedom in modern society. While back in the day, it was considered that being solitary was true freedom, or at least the way that we interpret it with our modern minds. So keep that in mind when you think about, I want to be independent, I want to be completely committed. There are gray areas in between, you know? You can also work with the Moirai. Yeah. And I always mispronounce their names, but they are the deities that are in charge of the thread of life. One of them is spinning it, the other one is cutting it, and the third one, I do apologize, but I have forgotten what she does. I think she is elongating it or measuring it. I think one of it is measuring it. Yeah. So one of them is basically giving you life, the other one is helping you sustain it, and the other one steps in to cut it. You're done. You're dead. Yeah. And you can work with them as well. I was looking in the booklet to try to see if I can find their names. Just a second, because I want to give you the names as well, since we are on this topic. I don't want to leave you in the darkness. Yes. So they were Clotho, the goddess who spun the thread of life, Lachesis, or Lachesis, the one who measured the thread of life, and Atropos, or Asia, the one who cut its length. So we have here Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. You can summon them, for example. They work with Hecate as well. And these deities are very good to summon when you're going through a dark night of the soul, when you have complex problems, complex issues. I'm kind of looking for more gods that you can summon. One of my favorite astrologers on YouTube, Pam Gregory, is very much intrigued by the transit of the asteroid Eris and how it is provoking a lot of drama and a lot of tension and aggression in society. And here she is, the goddess Eris. She is considered to be a rabble rouser because she is the one that threw the golden apple that apparently began the spite between goddesses and ultimately led to the Trojan War, one of the biggest major conflicts in the Greco-Roman world. So she's seen as the initiator of strife. And if you are going through a lot of conflicts at the moment, you can definitely work with her to try to help you understand, where did this conflict appear in my life? Why do I argue with everybody? Eris, help me understand it. Help me identify with this anger. Help me understand this conflict. Yeah. So you can do some pretty wonderful imaginative work. And this idea of active imagination, imagining yourself having conversations with parts of yourself that are darkened, even with the feelings that you have, you can have a conversation with a specific feeling that appears to you as an archetype. So for example, your anger could appear to you as goddess Eris, and you can begin imaginatively talking to her. And as you're having these imaginative conversations in your mind with this goddess that represents your anger, you're finding a way to integrate it. So, but this takes practice. Initially, you're going to laugh. It's going to feel ridiculous, but that's okay. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to be silly. It's okay to do stupid things from time to time. It's okay to try out new things. Nobody's watching you aside from the government through all of these devices that we have around us. Okay, sorry, I had to I had to introduce some lightheartedness because I was feeling that it was getting too intense. Yeah, so look at me. I wanted to just come up for 30 minutes and it's 1 hour already. Jesus Christ. I'm not pulling cards today, guys, because I'm sorry if I disappointed you from that point of view. But when I am sick, I'm not doing readings because I don't want to give you like messed up interpretations, you know? So we're going to do this at the next live. Hopefully by then I will be healed. My body will finally catch up to my mind. Next time we will meet 2 weeks from now. Just give me a second so I can give you the exact date. Yeah, and can you believe it? It's like close to the end of this year. Thank you guys. You are so amazing. You're so awesome. I'm happy that you were able to join us during the live. But as I said, there's no tragedy. If you can't make it for one live, you can always rewatch them because I always save them. So you can rewatch them in my live streams tab on my main channels page, or you could join us for the next one, you know? I'm thinking about creating some live streams on the spiritual cosmos now that I can. Part of the reason why it's awesome to be monetized, it's also that you unlock a lot of perks. So now I can do more stuff on the other channel, on my astrology channel as well. Yes. So give me a second, guys. I'm looking at the calendar to see when our next meetup is. Yes, there is a new moon, a new moon in Sagittarius on the 20th of November. That will be a Thursday. Okay. Be careful with your hips. Your hips could go through certain changes because Sagittarius rules the hips, while Taurus at the moment rules the throat, the neck, you know, the clavicule. So I have a stuffy neck, I have a sore throat, but I hope you guys are actually healthy. I have been burning this candle. I have this rosemary candle. It's very subtly scented and it's really nice. I normally don't find herbal candles like thyme or sage or rosemary. Most of them have fruity or coffee flavors, you know. But this one was really special. When I found it, I was like, I need that candle. um, I like to burn it on the altar of my ancestors. So we will see each other 2 weeks from now. You can do some work of handling difficult feelings by transforming them into these goddess images and have conversations with them. There are so many interesting deities that you can work with. If you're a man, you can work with Zeus, you can work with Poseidon, you can work with Hades as well. If you feel like you need a masculine representative, we have here Uranus. It's so beautifully designed. I absolutely love this deck. It's so gorgeous. Oh. Yes, we have here, look, the boatman. We have Charon, the one who helps deliver the souls across the river Styx. How awesome is this image? Beautiful. So, there will be an upload on this channel as soon as I get better. It will be on the topic that I feel like making. And I did pay attention to your suggestions, and I selected the ones that resonated with me as well. On the other channel, The Spiritual Cosmos, there will be more uploads. I have 2 videos I've been working on, but it's been hard because there's so much male beauty. Like I've been trying to film about Austin Butler and about Harris Dickinson because they are really awesome up and coming actors, you know, and they're just so beautiful. And I get lost, like I start analyzing their charts or I start speaking to the camera, and then I just look at their photos and I'm like, what beautiful men. And then I kind of get tired and I go to bed. So yeah, I need to get a bit more focused. And I'm sometimes a very scatterbrained Sun and Pisces person, but I'm working with it. Okay. I hope that you guys are wonderful. I've seen so many hearts in the chat today, which gives me a lot of hope that I can be continuously honest with you guys. And even though I may not be perfect or a beautiful fairy queen princess as I accustomed you, I hope that you will be with me in this change. Yes, I actually have my bed blanket here with me. I hope that you will be with me through this change. And I know that I will lose some of you because you will no longer resonate with me. And I know that others, I'll gain new ones, people that may need this kind of support and healing. But that's okay because change is good in life and change is inevitable. I just wanted to let you know, and I took the opportunity with these live stream because I don't have any other channel through which I can communicate with you guys live directly and give you the updates and tell you where I am at, psychologically speaking. I'm doing much better. And I love to see that you guys are also doing much better. And you're flooding the chat right now with so many hearts. It's so cheesy. You guys are awesome. I'll see you 2 weeks from now. Take good care of yourself. I hope that I'll be better and that I'll be able to pull some cards for you guys. And yeah, watch this space because more is definitely coming because I will not stop. This is who I am and this is what I like to do. But it will be different. And I hope that you can be open to different. Okay. I may change my look. I may, I don't know, create new banners. I'm thinking about innovating how I am doing the readings. I'm trying to try different formats as well. But what I can tell you is that I'm excited. I'm really excited and I'm happy. And I'm incredibly grateful for you guys to the point of tears that you're part of my soul family and that even if you decide to unsubscribe and walk away, I'm happy that I was able to help you up until this point. I'm really, really happy that I was able to do that for you. And yeah, if you want to come back, I'm here, you know? So thank you kindly, guys. And I'm going to stop now before I start crying. But crying is good. I just want to do it off camera because I don't want to look like a crying baby monster. I want to have a good old-fashioned ugly cry, Okay, I love you guys so much. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves in the meantime. You matter so much and you are so valuable. And don't let advertisers, politicians, the media, and people who hurt themselves hurt you back. Don't allow them. You got power in that. Say no, back away, retreat into your cozy home.